Welcome back to the program. Take a second and subscribe to the channel, like the video, tell your friends and family to do the same. Let's build up an audience here. I want to talk to you about the immigration deal put together by a bipartisan group of senators. I'm using my air quotes. I want to talk about President Biden's attacks on Iran-backed proxies and Houthi rebels in Syria, Iraq, Yemen, and I want to touch basically on Chairman Powell's 60-minute interview. So Sunday, and again, I'm using my air quotes, a bipartisan group of senators released the text of a $118 billion bill that ties foreign aid to what they call an overhaul of the country's immigration system. It's not an overhaul. This happens a lot in politics. My whole adult life, I've been following public policy. This happens regularly. When there's something that one party really wants to get through, no matter what, they attach it to other things that the other party would also like to get through. And you're supposed to hold your nose and vote yes, because you'll get what you want while the other party gets what they want. And that's exactly what's happening here with this $118 billion bill. It sounds like a lot to help immigration, but immigration is just a fraction of this. The negotiators in the Senate for this deal was Senator Kristen Sinema, independent from Arizona, aka a Democrat. She switched her affiliation last year, but she's still a Democrat. James Lankford, Republican, Oklahoma, a moderate Republican, and Chris Murphy, a Democrat here from Connecticut. The hot take on this is no. This cannot pass. This is not a fix to our immigration problem. This is more of the same. I've been following immigration policy since the late 1980s. I've heard every election cycle, every Republican, and I campaigned with many of them in the mid-2010s, early teens, advocating constantly for secure borders, end of illegal immigration, lower levels of legal immigration, better assimilation, and always and everywhere. But they come back to an actual deal on immigration that's more of the same. More open borders, more immigration, allowing illegals. And this bill just can't be allowed to pass because it's all of that. And again, more importantly, it's connected to two aid packages, national security aid packages for Israel and Ukraine. Sinema says to those who are skeptical, there is a crisis at our border and our bipartisan border security package fixes it. It does not. Now, senators must make a decision. Pass our package and solve the crisis, or accept the status quo, do nothing, and keep playing politics while our system breaks and our communities continue to suffer. I choose to secure the border, protect Arizona border communities, fix our broken system, and finally solve the border crisis. This will not do that. President Biden has reversed many of President Trump's efforts and ignored laws on the books already to allow this open borders crisis that we're currently experiencing. Never in our history before have we seen anything like this. So this bill includes $61 billion for Ukraine, $14 billion for Israel, $10 billion in humanitarian assistance to both Ukraine and the Palestinians in Gaza, 4.83 for countries in the Indo-Pacific, and just $20.23 billion for the southern border to increase immigration restrictions and enforcement and implement new migrant policies. We can't have this. There's only one solution to the immigration problem. Stop it. No more illegal immigration into America. You cannot enter the U.S. without a visa, period. And that includes refugees. We have a process wherever we have State Department officials in every country in the world, basically, for refugees, people threatened by their own country they're in, to come to America with a visa. No more entering outside of legal ports of entry. We have the laws on the books already. We do not need new immigration laws. This is a bad bill, and Republicans should reject it. Thankfully, many Republicans are already talking out against the bill. The Senate only needs 60 votes, and I think it will come on Wednesday to advance the bill. House Speaker Johnson said that the bill is dead on arrival. Republicans say this a lot. Republicans don't have the temerity that Democrats do to pursue their agendas or protect themselves from the agendas of the Democrat Party. Democrat, Republican, it does not matter. We need to have secure borders. A country is defined by them. We have to stop illegal immigration. And we are at real risk as a result of 3 years of blatantly open border immigration policy and letting the people, we have no idea where they came from, what their backgrounds are. And so American citizens are at real risk for the future for crime and attacks on our own homeland. Why do they do this? Democrats want votes. They want votes from the people they allow in. They're convinced these illegal immigrants that they're letting in will be Democrats. Republicans want votes as well, but they want votes and money from big pocket contributors, from rural state agricultural communities. Republicans back these deals because they are told repeatedly by red state agricultural players that we need more cheap labor. And these people that come in as our cheap labor to pick our crops have to be able to function as full citizens, drive, have housing, access to healthcare. And so these are the driving forces for both parties. But this bill should be dead on arrival. This is not a fix, I promise you. The solution is very easy. Shut off entry across our borders outside legal points of entry. You can't come in. You don't come across the line. That's it, period. And of course, we have to reduce legal immigration. Legal immigration is a wonderful policy we have. We benefit from immigration. We have in the past. We will in the future. Something Americans have been asking for decades. Poll after poll after poll, election cycle after election cycle. Americans say they want less immigration. They want secure borders. This bill does none of that. The other thing I want to talk about real quickly is President Biden's use of the U.S. military to strike back after U.S. forces were killed at our base on the Jordanian-Syrian border, northern Jordan, struck by a missile that got through our air defenses, 3 people dead, 25 injured. Plus, I think it was more than 25 now. 10 days ago, President Biden announced to the world that he's made a decision. He is going to respond. And then this past weekend, the U.S. military finally released their strikes, hitting 100 targets across Iraq, Syria, and Yemen, striking Iranian-backed proxies that have ramped up their own attacks on U.S. troops in the region since October. Started on Friday with 85 targets hit across 7 locations. Then on Saturday, the U.S. military struck 36 more targets at 13 locations in Yemen, controlled by the Houthi rebels. B-1 bombers were launched from the U.S. territory, flew 15-hour missions to drop their precision-guided bombs. Command and control centers were struck, intelligence facilities, weapons storage facilities. The first in a series of actions Washington attempts to take to respond to the attack in Jordan. The goal here is to get these attacks to stop. We're not looking for a war with Iran, which is emphasized every single day. And I don't want war with Iran. No one wants war with Iran, but we have to protect our forces in the region. And the reason we're in the region is because of the October 7 attack on Israel by the Hamas terrorist group out of the Gaza Strip. The targets in Yemen were multiple underground storage facilities, command and control systems, missile systems, UAV storage and operation sites, radars, and helicopters. Since the strikes, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the Houthi rebels and other proxies have responded with attacks on U.S. forces. U.S. naval ships shot down missiles overnight. So the idea that they're going to get these people to stop isn't working so far. The point of this is President Biden telegraphed his actions. He gave the enemy time to prepare, to evacuate, to relocate. It doesn't take a genius to figure out the best way to use your military forces by surprise in places the enemy's not expecting, in ways not expected. But let me suggest why this is happening. The election in November of 2024. President Biden doesn't want to start another direct war, even though we're clearly in one now. And more importantly, he doesn't want to spike oil prices and ruin the economy before the election. These are the narrow, likely reasons why the president took 10 days from announcing his decision to attack to actually attacking, to minimize the damage, the people killed. And again, let's repeat, no one wants war with Iran, but if Iran wants war with us, well, we're going to have to take it to them. And so I think this is half measures. I think this is protecting domestic politics, the way the president is managing this situation. And then lastly, real quickly, I want to talk about Jerome Powell being on 60 Minutes on Sunday, an interview that was conducted on Thursday. And a very unusual thing for a Fed chairman to do, to appear in national television like this. Very, very unusual. You have to wonder what the motivations are here. And again, I suspect they're largely political. Now, the Fed is an independent body from the U.S. Congress and the presidency, but there's no denying every president, including Joe Biden, including Donald Trump, including everyone, wants the Fed to set up the economy as elections approach that makes Americans feel better about their world than not. And so Chairman Powell came on TV to talk about the fact to remind the world it's not likely to lower interest rates in March, that they still have concerns over inflation. Powell said the prudent thing to do is just give some time and see that the data confirm that inflation is moving down to 2% in a sustainable way. We want to approach that question carefully. This was before the payroll jobs release on Friday. but the day after they had the FOMC meeting last Wednesday, where they spoke hawkishly about inflation, and inflation is not done yet. And Democrats are doing nothing to help this situation. Anyway, very, very unusual for the chairman of the Federal Reserve to come on TV and say to the public, to American people, max transparency, by the way, we're not going to cut rates in March, but we're likely to cut rates before the end of the summer. Don't worry, stay patient. The rate cuts are coming. The rhetoric initially sent stocks lower, but after they realized that he was setting us up for interest rates lower in 24 still, rebounds occurred. We need the Fed to stay on hold. I would prefer another 25 basis point rate hike in the federal funds rate. But if not that, then we need to have an extended period of time where rates stay on hold until the rate of inflation actually approaches the Fed's target, which is 2% on a year-over-year basis. All right, that's all I have for you today. Always try to buy American.